Hi everybody, and welcome to Math 1350, Introduction to Statistics. My name is Lane McConnell, and I'm going to be your instructor this semester. I want to use this video to give you a little bit of an overview of how the class is going to be set up and what the expectations are going to look like, and just get you familiar with what the Brightspace webpage looks like and how to navigate it. So you should be seeing something similar to this. In fact, to access this video, you've already accessed this page. We're going to be going into the content section up here and using this to navigate. Our menu bar is over here on the left. The first thing I want to look at is our syllabus so that we can get a sense of all the details of what's going to go on in the class this semester. So if I click on the syllabus and go down here, this is the syllabus here. It's on this front page when you first log in, and so it should be pretty easy to find. I'm going to bring up a bigger version just so it's a little easier for you guys to see and follow along if you'd like. So here's the PDF of it. Throughout the semester, there's probably going to be times when you need to get in touch with me. The best way to do that is going to be via email, which is listed here, lmcconnell6@cnm.edu. I check that email very regularly during the work days and a handful of times over the weekends as well. If you want a prompt response, send me that email. I check it enough that typically I can get back to you as soon as I see that email, certainly no more than 24 hours or something like that. And by all means, if for some reason you feel like I'm not being responsive, you sent an email and I haven't responded and it's been a while, email me another one. Life gets busy. I sometimes space out, or I'll realize I accidentally left my response to you in my draft box and haven't actually sent it yet. So don't feel like you're hassling me. I space things out sometimes, and I really do want to make sure that I can be as responsive as possible and get your questions answered. If email doesn't work in terms of answering your question, if it's something that's a lot more involved, my office hours are probably the best way to get detailed questions answered. So I have Zoom office hours on Mondays from 10 to 11 a.m. There is a link in the front page here. Let me go back real quickly to the front page of this, the course home. If you click on the course home, over here, my instructor information is right here, and here's a link to those Zoom meetings, as you can see down here. I also have some face-to-face office hours. They aren't listed in the syllabus, but I'm on campus on Tuesdays and Thursdays, and I have office hours from 10:30 to 11:30 in Max Salazar Hall, room 501, which is sort of just the top floor there, and that's on main campus. You're welcome to attend those as well if you just happen to be on campus or in the neighborhood, or if that's more convenient for you. So back to the syllabus. The syllabus has a bunch of stuff that you're probably going to completely gloss over, and if you don't gloss over it, your eyes will gloss over as you try to get through it. So the course description here gives you a sense of kind of what the idea is. Hopefully you have some idea of what statistics are, even if it's sort of an incorrect notion that hopefully will correct as this goes on. The only thing I really want to touch on here is one big central theme of this class, and it has to do with the terms statistics and probability, and they're sort of two sides of one coin. You're going to hear a bunch about this throughout the semester. Statistics is sort of backwards looking. We look at data that has already been collected. We're looking backwards and using data from things that have already happened to try to figure out what's going on. And probability is forward looking. We'll use that data that we collected, the backwards looking data, to try to make predictions about what we think will happen in the future, and that's probability. So statistics is backwards looking, using information from things that have already occurred. Probability is forward looking, trying to make predictions often from that very same set of data. And so that's going to be a central theme throughout this semester. In addition to that, there's a huge long list of learning outcomes. They're full of statistical jargon. You don't really need to read them because a lot of the words you probably won't understand what they mean yet. But hopefully by the end of the semester, all of these topics will make some sense to you if you decide to come back and look back on them. To the stuff you actually care about, let's start with the textbook. So you are provided with an ebook of Elementary Statistics by the authors Navidi and Monk, and you've already paid for it. The math classes at C&M use an inclusive access model. So from day one, you have access to that ebook through a software system called Alex. And there will be an entire video just dedicated to showing you how to get into Alex and how to sort of get navigating with that. But Alex is going to be a really important tool for us. It's where we will access the ebook, as I just mentioned, and also where you will access all of the homework assignments that you'll do throughout the semester. So that's going to be really important. And again, you've already paid for it. You should not be prompted to pay for it again. If you're one of the types of people that really prefers a hard copy of the book, there is an optional loose leaf version of the text available at C&M's bookstore. It's literally just a bunch of pages that you can put in a 3-ring binder, and I think it costs somewhere between maybe 20 and 30 bucks if you decide you want a hard copy of the textbook. Certainly not required. A big point of contention is this thing right here, Respondus, Lockdown Browser, and Monitor. If you've taken a math class at C&M recently, you may have already used this for taking exams. It's a super invasive piece of software that you have to install on your computer that will basically allow us to proctor you during exams. We don't really like using it, but we don't have a choice. In order for the statistics class at C&M to transfer to other institutions, we have to have proctored exams, and in an online environment, this is the only way that we have in order to satisfy those requirements. So again, you probably don't like it. We certainly don't like it. But I'll want you to go through and kind of figure out how to set this up. We will have a practice run through before any exams to make sure that you have it installed correctly and that we have a sense of kind of how to use it throughout the semester. If you're really uncomfortable with the idea of using a lockdown browser and monitor where it's going to record you with a webcam and record your environment around you while you're taking an exam, totally understandable. As an option, you can also come in and take the exams at the assessment center at C&M. So you can come in person. We're only going to have 3 exams, 2 midterms and a final. And so that's totally an option as well. You'll just need to schedule those exams in advance. Basically, you'll need to get in touch with me so that we can arrange to have those exams scheduled and you can take them in person if you'd prefer to avoid using the lockdown browser. So just let me know. One other thing that's really important this semester is going to be a calculator. I've put that the TI-84 is required. This will allow you to get it paid for in case you happen to be on a scholarship or if you're a dual credit student where basically your high school winds up paying for it for you. In reality, it's only kind of required. So first and foremost, you don't necessarily need a TI-84. If you have an older TI-83 or TI-83 Plus or any variation of that, that will work just as well. It's totally fine. So if you have an older calculator or if you know somebody that you can borrow one from, that will be ideal. There are other brands of calculators as well. HP makes calculators, Casio makes some calculators. As long as you have a graphing calculator, if you're interested or have questions, you can send me the model that you have, and I can let you know if it'll work for the class. But it's really going to be helpful throughout the semester. That said, they're very expensive, and so I don't want everybody to rush out and get one of these if you really aren't going to need it. So as an alternative, there are a couple of apps that you can download onto your smartphone. There is one for Android called WabbitEmu. It is completely free, and it basically emulates the graphing calculator for you, so it looks exactly like the calculator just on the screen of your phone, and that works really well. And for if you have an iPhone, there are a bunch of apps, but this is one of the cheapest ones that has all the functionality we need. It's called GraphingCalc 83. I want to say it's $5.99 or something in the App Store. So that's what you would want to use if you don't want to purchase one of the calculators, because again, the calculators cost new probably like anywhere from $100 to $120. The caveat of these apps is that we're not allowed to let you use them during exams, just because otherwise you could access all sorts of information on your smartphone. So during exams, you will not be able to use your phone and the emulator, but I have a couple of spare graphing calculators. You can come borrow one from me if you're willing to come on into campus. And alternatively, if you want to borrow one from C&M's library, they have a ton of graphing calculators available for checkout. And last I heard, they're allowing people to check them out for 24 hours. They used to only let you take them for like 3 hours at a time. But if you show up to one of the main, I think the library on main campus, and I'm not sure about Montoya or West Side, but for sure main campus, if you go to the front desk, you can check out a graphing calculator just with your student ID. That's all you need, and use that just for exams. So that would be my recommendation. Basically, long story short, if you don't already own a graphing calculator and you don't have access to borrow one from somebody you know, don't go out and buy one unless you really want to. Instead, just use one of the apps for all of the homework, and then when exam time rolls around, just check out a calculator for the library just for the exams, so you can use it on the exams. So that would be my recommendation there. We'll talk more about that when exam time comes closer, and if you have any questions, again, just send me an email, and I can try to clarify anything there is to clarify about that. You can read through the attendance policy. This is an online class. Just keep up with the work, and you're going to be good to go. Other important things, we are going to have a couple of discussion posts throughout the semester. Really, all of them are going to be right at the beginning of the semester. I find that they feel very forced, and it's not really genuine communication. So I have one sort of at the beginning for everybody to introduce themselves, and then I'll have another one going with the first chapter because it is a good topic that actually does sometimes prompt some discussion. So we're going to have those discussion posts at the very beginning. Just be polite in discussion posts. I know it's on the internet, but there is a netiquette policy listed, and so as long as you abide by all of those rules, you'll be fine. But basically, yeah, just don't be a jerk. There's important deadlines throughout the semester. You have basically 2 weeks from the start of the course to drop the course and get a refund, and it's like you never took the class. It doesn't show up on your transcript, anything like that. So that is September 12th. And then later in the course, about a month before the course ends, you can still drop or change your grading option in the course from a letter grade to just pass-fail or to audit, credit, no credit type thing. And the deadline to do all of that is November 4th. And I'll try to send out an email ahead of that deadline just to remind everybody that it's coming up. We have a disability statement. We accommodate through what is now called accessibility services at C&M. So if you already have accommodations, just try to send them to me as soon as possible. If it's something you're interested in, I'd strongly encourage you to reach out to accessibility services and kind of see what types of services they provide, because they're very thorough and they're really, really helpful for a lot of students. So take a look into that. There's a COVID policy that I have to put in here again, even though this is an online class, but this would be pertinent if you decide you want to come to campus to either check out a calculator or to take one of the exams in person. And so read through that. I'm sure if you've taken a class here, you're already familiar with that policy. So most of it applies to face-to-face classes, but just again, if you're going to be on campus, you might want to read through that before you come to campus. The next thing that you probably really care about is the grading policy. So at the end of the semester, how do I figure out what grade you wind up getting? A big part of that is going to be that Alex homework that I mentioned. The homework's going to be due on Tuesdays by 11:59 p.m., and it's going to make up 30% of your grade. So basically, the way it's going to work is we'll have some material in week 1. I'll present that material to you. You'll have some videos to watch. You'll have this homework to work on, and that homework will be due by the Tuesday of the following week after we cover that material. So I'm going to try to give you a long window to get all of that done. You should have hopefully plenty of time. I tried to make the assignments relatively concise. Hopefully they don't take you more than I mean, everybody works at a different speed, but hopefully they don't take you more than watching the lecture videos, maybe 3-ish hours a week on average, and then doing the homework maybe another 4 to 6 hours a week, again, depending on how quickly you work. Some weeks will go faster, some people work faster, and some people are a little bit slower, but try to keep it pretty reasonable. You'll have a small portion of your grade that's due to participation. So this is just things like completing those discussion posts that I talked about. You have a quick syllabus quiz here in this first week. That'll count towards participation, stuff like that. Just a little bit to add up as part of your grade. So try not to miss any of those things because there's not a lot of components that make up that grade. 5% might not seem like a lot, but it can definitely, bump you up or down a letter grade at the end of the semester. We'll have 2 midterm exams throughout the semester. The first one is in week 6, and the second one is in week 11. And you'll have a bunch more details about how those are run closer to when they come up. But each of those exams will be worth 15%, so for a combined total of another 30%. So this is kind of nice. The homework is worth as much as both of your midterm exams combined. So again, you're really going to want to stay on top of the homework. Don't fall behind. Don't mess up any, lose any points here. I've tried to make the ALEKS homework really easy to get through, easy to get a full grade because I'm allowing you unlimited attempts, and even if you miss the due date, I think I have a 25% penalty for turning it in late. So you can still turn it in after the due date for 75% credit. But basically, there's no excuse not to get 100% on the ALEKS homework. You have unlimited attempts. From my perspective, it is just meant to be practice, but I just want to motivate you to actually do it by making it worth a lot of points. So definitely do the homework. We'll have one project towards the end of the semester using sort of real-world data. That's going to be worth 10% of the grade. It won't even be available until probably week 11-ish, right around the time of the second exam. So keep an eye out for that towards the end of the semester. And again, it's relatively short. That project itself, when we get there, should only take most people maybe 4 or 5 hours at most to do. And then lastly, we have a final exam worth 25% of your grade. That final exam will be cumulative, and it'll be offered for sort of a window of time during the last week of class. So looking at all of this, here's a few other things that are worth mentioning. I think I already mentioned the fact that if you don't like using that proctoring software, the Respondus monitor, you can take the exams in person at the assessment center, so that's mentioned in here. And then one other thing that I spaced out mentioning about the homework, to make it even easier for you to get full credit, I don't actually require you to get full credit. As long as you receive at least an 80% overall average at the end of the semester, I will round your homework average all the way up to 100%. So that means you don't need 80% on every single assignment. You can get some 100% on some assignments and zeros on others. As long as your overall average is an 80, by the end of the semester, I'll round that grade all the way up to 100%. So again, hopefully that decreases some of the worries on your part. If you wind up having a week that's super stressful and you have a ton going on, turning in a homework late is not going to kill you there. So just keep that in mind. Here's all the other C&M announcements that they tend to encourage us to put on here. Again, a lot of these have to do with being on campus, so you can gloss through those as you'd like. And lastly, here's sort of a real big, broad overview of what the schedule is going to look like this semester, just what topics we're going to be covering in a given week. There's a much more detailed calendar available within Brightspace, and so you'll probably want to use that one as you go through the introduction module. It'll prompt you to print that one out, and you can use that throughout the semester. And it highlights due dates of assignments, exact dates of exams, stuff like that. So hopefully that answers most of your questions. If there's anything I missed or forgot, don't hesitate, again, to reach out. I will go back real quickly here. Here's all of my contact information right on the home page of our Brightspace. So again, my email and my office hours. Reach out with any questions you have, and I really look forward to being able to help you get through this class this semester. Well, good luck with the first week. Take care.